Hello friends, and welcome to the very first part of my Peru travel vlog. I'm just starting this vlog super early in the morning. 4 in the morning. The adventure begins. Alrighty, bed made, bag packed, turn off the light, and let's go. I'm headed over to the SFO International Airport with my best friend, her mom, and my mom. I'm so stoked for this girls' trip. I planned it almost a year in advance. It took an entire day of traveling, and it was a bit tiring at the time, but it was definitely well worth it. Upon arrival, I was just absolutely in love with Peru. We landed in Lima, and then we took another flight over to Cusco. I was really surprised that the air in Cusco is a lot drier and harsher than I had expected. Definitely not gross or polluted or anything like that, but just drier. So that was something that I had to take into account and remember to drink lots of water. Once we got there, this is still the first day after all that travel, we kind of just took it easy. We checked into our hotel, which had beautiful accommodations and was owned locally by a woman who lived there. We settled in with coca tea, a traditional tea notorious for giving energy and aid for elevation sickness. Next, we went into town. Cusco is packed with tons of tiny little shops selling beautiful handmade souvenirs. It's a challenge not to just buy every single thing. I'm pretty sure I got one of every kind of souvenir at least. These stones lining the buildings are authentic, originally handcrafted and placed by the Inca people. Some areas have been restored and refurbished, while many are original. Throughout the majority of this trip, we are traveling with our guide, and his name is Odin. Odin did an excellent job making jokes, making us laugh, and also giving us tons of useful and informative information about the history of Cusco and Peru in general. There's so much culture around every single corner, beautiful artwork, gorgeous Spanish-inspired architecture, cathedrals, and so much history. We had a tour at Cathedral Basilica, where Odin gave us a rich history of the Inca, how the Spanish conquered Cusco, and all about the religion and culture of the time. We went over to the Temple of the Sun. I'll insert here what the proper name is, but this temple is really incredible, and this wall outside of it used to be completely covered in gold until the Spanish came and took all the gold and melted it down and shipped it back. Coricancha was considered the center of Cusco geographically and religiously. The Inca would show appreciation to Inti, the sun god. Not only was the outer wall coated in gold, but there were gold and silver statues and depictions of gods, goddesses, and sacred animals throughout the temple before the Spanish had arrived. The Spanish colonists built the convent of Santo Domingo on the site, demolishing most of the temple and using its foundations for the cathedral. Inside, there is much information about how astronomy was used and important to the Inca. The golden hour light here made for excellent photo ops. After the Sun Temple, we went and walked back more towards our hotel and the main area. Some dinner, and then as the night came, we started doing a little bit of souvenir shopping, and my friend's mom was visiting and talking with these kids that were trying to sell us things on the street, and my friend's mom made a deal with the little girl saying that if she won rock, paper, scissors against her, then she would buy some souvenirs from her. So yeah, after dinner and souvenir shopping, we went back to the hotel and tried to get a good night's sleep because we had an early start the next day. This is a beautiful view overlooking almost the entire city of Cusco. And from there we headed straight to the Llama and Alpaca Farm, or sanctuary.
Buy real or you buy fake? Because there is fake silver. Yes. You know how we call fake silver? Alpaca.
This place was so fun. It was amazing to see so many different types of llamas and alpacas, and even other related animals that are like cousins of llamas and alpacas. We got to feed them alfalfa plants because apparently they really love to snack on that. They're such sweet and lovely animals, and it was really wonderful to see that they're very well treated here. There are several types of domesticated llama and alpaca. There are suri alpaca, which have very long wool, and huancayo alpaca, which have curlier, more sheep-like wool. For the llamas, there are Kiwara llamas, which have sheep-like wool, and Chaku llamas, which are the more notorious long-wool llamas. Another animal that they have here is a vicuña, and the vicuña is actually a wild, non-domesticated creature. This one that I'm showing is a baby, which is the only reason why it's very tolerant of being in an enclosed space. But even the people who run the place said that as the baby gets older, it may just decide to leave one day and they won't be able to do anything about it. Up on the hill above the farm, there is more vicuñas that are looking nearby, probably keeping watch over the little one to make sure it's enjoying its life. But yes, they are wild, non-domesticated, and they do have some of the softest wool ever. So anything made of real vicuña is so soft and quite expensive. Over more towards the shop at the Llama and Alpaca Farm, there are about 5 or 6 women who are weaving in the traditional Peruvian style.
¿Y tú lo haces contando, mamita? ¿Contando? ¿Lo haces? No.
That creates a tension, so they control the tension of it with
sí, ese es el problema. Hay veces cuando ya llegas más o menos a los 50, 60 años, el ojo es el mayor problema que ellos tienen y lo que es la espalda también.
It was very interesting to be able to see their techniques and how long it takes to create a single textile. The older women are much faster and more practiced at the techniques, I noticed, than the younger women. After the Llama and Alpaca Farm, we continued our journey for the day and went over to the famous Sacred Valley. The Sacred Valley in Peru is very well known for its large farming terraces. It's so incredible to see how not only humans were able to construct and craft these terraces, but the ingenious ideas about growing agriculture at different elevations and the way that they would have their crops adjust to higher or lower elevations. It's just really incredible, and it just shows how amazing the Peruvian people are and how they had so much figured out so long ago. They also used to have a special process where they would bury their dead and mummify them. They would remove the organs, curl them up in a fetal position, and they would bury them in the side of the mountains. Unfortunately, a lot of people have come and tomb raided and taken treasures and mummies and sold them, which is quite unfortunate. After the Sacred Valley, we traveled down the mountain into the little valley where there was a town with shops, and our group did some souvenir shopping here while I went to go find lunch at this beautiful little French cafe. Who would have thought a French cafe owned by a French family in Peru? I actually was able to find a vegan meal, and it was really delicious and very peaceful, great atmosphere. After lunch and souvenir shopping, we continued packing up in the van and headed towards the salt flats. Now I'll put the correct name on the screen so you can see, but the salt flats were such an iconic sight to see, very beautiful and unique. And I'm going to allow Odin to share a little bit about how the salt flats work and why they work the way they do.
What you do is basically do irrigation process. Fill them up. It's not that deep though. It's probably one foot deep. So what you do, and of course the easiest work is probably the irrigation. So what you do is basically open the little canal, let the water go in until it fills up, and then you go. Next to this, when it fills up, the water evaporates. You get the first layer. You have to do this 10 times. 10 times 3 makes in a month. You have 10 layers of crystals about this thick. That's when each of these plants are going to be harvested. You harvest with a little piece of wood, and that's what you do. After you harvest, you do a pile, a salt pile. That waits for a few days to dry. Once they dry up, you put into those sacks, white sacks, like those over there, on your shoulders, and right up here, because they need to be irons. This doesn't have iron naturally, and if you consume this as your diet, you get a problem. If you don't put something, if you don't put iron on this salt, on the salt you consume, you'll get a problem. This is a disease that's going to be in your thyroids. They call that goiter. So your thyroid swells, and that's why it causes the lack of iron. So now we do.
I made sure to buy plenty of salt at the salt mines to bring back as gifts and souvenirs for people. After the salt flats, we drove on and continued our journey to, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, Ollantaytambo, an area with ancient ruins from Inca times. The ruins here are mostly of religious significance. The structures were built around 1400 and overlook much of the town below. On Temple Hill, there is another temple of the sun that was of central importance to the Inca. There are large stone step terraces, and down below are ceremonial baths called princess baths, which you can see later in my footage. It was absolutely incredible to see all the structures here and how they're in such great condition as well. There is a hike here, but we didn't have time to do it in this day because we just had so many things we were trying to see. This was such a beautiful place, right up against a mountain. There were even buildings and terraces carved right into the mountain. As you can see here, there's more farming terraces, a very iconic trademark of the Peruvians and Inca. There are about 200 steps up along the terraces, which give you a great view of the land below when you climb to the top. And after a nice informative visit here, we headed to our train, which is taking us to Machu Picchu. On the train there was music and dancing and live performance, and it was very fun, even though it was a very small space in each train car, but it gave us a great time to relax and visit. So yeah, that's the end of part 1 for my Peru travel vlog. Stay tuned for part 2, where we continue the journey to Machu Picchu. I'll see you in my next one.